she's talking and when I'm talking, please, because I'm using my phone. Okay. Where's your phone? Don't mind her. Drink your water now. Actually, my throat got dry, baby. And then I'm like, no, I'm swallowing stick because I don't want to drink water. Yeah, dish your water now.
Yes, I have already. Two. Yes. Mic check. Guy, this is very loud. 1, 2.
Hello. Hi.
People with disabilities remain underrepresented, indeed misrepresented or stereotyped. Media portrayals often reduce their identities to either inspirational cliches or focus on their limitations rather than their many strengths and contributions. This often narrow lens marginalises individuals and perpetuates the harmful stigmas, creating barriers to equality, employment and participation in our economies. True representation matters because it shapes perceptions. When people with disabilities are authentically portrayed as leaders, innovators, athletes, artists, and everyday individuals, it fosters understanding and normalizes diversity. Representation is not just about visibility, but about empowerment, ensuring people with disabilities are involved in decision-making and content creation. When they lead these efforts, the authenticity and impact of their representation multiplies. As we prepare for this important conversation on cultural media representation, we invite you to participate and actively engage in shaping this narrative. Your voice and perspectives are essential if we are to challenge unfavourable perceptions and foster a more inclusive, empowered society for people with disabilities. Join us in ensuring that the future of representation reflects the diversity, strength, and potential of all individuals. In the upcoming discussion, we will hear from the people most affected by society's misrepresentation of disabilities. Too often we speak on behalf of the people who are most affected by these issues, but today we will hear from them. Let us work together to create a world where everyone's story is told authentically and everyone's contributions are recognised. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today, moderating this panel discussion that would be talking about cultural representation and media presentation at the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. I am Stephanie Egariva. I am the Diversity and Inclusion Lead at the MasterCard Foundation Youth Advisory Council. And currently, for my visually impaired friends, I'm currently putting on a white shirt with a black vest and a black trouser. So today we have a very interesting conversation at hand, and this conversation will be focused on how the media plays a powerful role in shaping societal attitudes towards persons with disabilities and disabilities overall. And we'll also be talking about the power of representation, and we'll be talking about how we can ensure and what roles the media can play in ensuring that inclusion is at its core when it has to do with cultural narratives. And to drive this conversation, I have beautiful and incredible panelists here on set with me today. Very beautiful women and a man amongst women. And I'd like for each of you to introduce yourself. So you tell us your name, what you do, and very fun and interesting facts about you. So would like to start.
Start. Thank you so much. And I welcome you to this panel and to the International Day of Persons with Disabilities as we celebrate this. My name is Ankunda Dorek, and that is my sign name. I'm a person with a hearing impairment. I'm using a sign language interpreter, and that is the voice that you're hearing, and I'm Raymond. I'm a disability inclusion facilitator, and I'm also a disability advocate on issues of disability. I am a team lead at Wings of Hope, and I'm also an actress. And also an MC. Yeah. To my friends who are visually impaired, I have black dreadlocks, somehow brown, with pinkish lips. And I'm also putting on a dress mixed with black and brown with some light brown shoes. I'm of a medium height. Yeah. One thing that is interesting about me, I'm good at eating, so I love food. And also I love dance and entertainment. Thank you.
I love food too, so I found my person. All right, so move to the next panelist.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Olamide Ewejobi, and I'm a marketing and communications associate with Participant Assistive Products. It's an organization that builds assistive products for persons with disabilities in Africa and lower income countries. I am also a disability inclusion facilitator on the We Can Work program with Jonapid in partnership with MasterCard and Light for the World, MasterCard Foundation and Light for the World. And I describe myself for the visually impaired in the room. I'm wearing a magenta dress with silver applique, gold and silver bracelets, and a gold wristwatch with a touch of green. I'm shortish and light skin caramel in between. And what else? One thing that love about me. I love aesthetics. I love beautiful things. I love when things are well put together. Yeah, I think that's
Emmanuel Makoha. Yes, I work as a program officer for uh, the Week and Work program with UDPK, United Disabled Persons of Kenya. But besides that, I am a certified DIF, disability inclusion facilitator, and I also work as an a disability inclusion advocate, where I train young persons with disabilities on how to advocate for themselves. One fun fact about me, well, which one do I go with? I am noisemaker. Yeah. To how I am dressed today and how I look. I am dressed in a navy blue suit with a very white shirt and black shoes, and I am wearing short hair and looking good, yes.
All right, very interesting stuff about our panelists today. So let's dive into the conversation. This is an open question. So, to each of you, what does cultural representation and media presentation mean to you? What do you understand by the concepts? So I'd like to start with Olamide.
Thank you very much. I think cultural representation is about how different groups of people are portrayed in the media, and in regards to the values, the norms, the cultures, and the traditions. And meanwhile, I think for persons with disability, it's just about them being included in those cultural spaces. And for media representation, it's simply how stories are told about persons with disabilities through the media. How are they portrayed? What perception is the media giving persons with disabilities, given the broader population about persons with disability? These perceptions can either create stereotypes, or they can either break those stereotypes. So yeah, thank you.
Over to you, Dorek.
Well, thank you, moderator. In my own understanding about culture and media representation, we should know that these are beliefs, the behaviors, the practices, the norms. It is broad, but how they are portrayed into the media space and how the diverse groups, persons with disabilities inclusive, how they are portrayed, how they are perceived through the media. Yeah, that's what I understand by.
Thank you, Derek. Over to you, Manuel.
Yeah, the topic of the discussion, one thing that had come to mind was media reflects what the society does, and in return, the society tends to magnify or amplify what they have seen in media. So it's something that needs to be really checked, because that is where perceptions come from, stereotypes and negative attitude. So I like that we are here to break down this topic. Yeah.
Interesting thoughts. Interesting thoughts. For me, cultural representation and media presentation, it means a lot. I work in the inclusive space, and I advocate for youth participation and for persons with disabilities and women to be included in every space and industry. And I've seen firsthand what the media can do when it has to do with representation of persons with disability. They play a very powerful role in either breaking down barriers or, instigating those barriers against people with disabilities. So let's start with a broader question. We all know that media has a very big influence on public perceptions and shaping public perceptions. In your experience, Olamide, how does media shape societal attitudes towards disabilities?
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for that question. And I'd like to say, so let's imagine a big giant mirror placed in front of us, and you're standing right in front of that mirror. Whatever you see there is most likely what it's projecting. That's what you look like. It's projecting you, it's reflecting you. So in this regard, it's kind of like the media has sort of built a social construct. They've built this old perception that there is something wrong with you as a person with disability. And because of that perception, because they think something is wrong with you, they just don't want to be bothered, or they don't want to have to deal with that. And however, when the media does decide to be inclusive, or they decide to now include persons with disabilities, they either portray you as beggars, they're either portrayed as objects of pity, they're either portrayed as inspirational points, used as it just sells disability in a negative light. And as a result of this, it creates this stereotype. People start thinking, oh, okay, maybe this, because that's all you're seeing. That's the reflection you're getting from the media. So it creates this perception in your head. Oh, okay. So when you see a person with disability, the first thing that comes to your mind is, give them money. They haven't even asked you for help. But you're offering, or you're just giving them money. It's okay, I'll share a personal experience. One time, I went to the ATM to withdraw money. And then a car was driving out of the bank. And it was in the night. So the full lights were on. I think he turned it very high. And when he turned it, I was standing in front, and I put a hand in front of me to like dim the light so it doesn't like enter my eyes. And immediately saw that I was a person with disability. He quickly parked. It wasn't even parked right. He quickly parked and came down and came to me. I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's totally all right. I just said it's fine. And then he dipped his hand inside his pocket, brought out 1,000 naira notes. That's the highest denomination in Nigeria. Brought down 1,000 naira notes and gave it to me. And so I looked around me and wondered if I was standing by the roadside, and it appeared as though I was a beggar. I don't know. But that was the first thing that came to his mind, to just give me money. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because I think it's mostly as a result of ignorance. Sometimes they just don't know how to react to persons with disability, and that's because of the perception that they have. They don't see us as equals. They don't see us as a person like they are. Like, we're equal, we're just like every other person, we're regular. And they just want to maybe be extra and do something. And I think those are one of the negative effects that the media has about persons with disabilities. So these stereotypes, it just creates these negative stereotypes about disability. It's like, just imagine growing up without having any, seeing movies with persons with disability, portraying them as boss ladies, CEOs, owning a company, running a business. They are either always portrayed as gatesman, either portrayed as beggars, or something that you pity, you raise funds for. And it's not empowering, it's demeaning. And these stereotypes continue to shape narratives about persons with disabilities. And I think that's why we're here today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Olamide. It's clear that media representation has both the power to reinforce stereotypes and also challenge those stereotypes. And okay, so now let's build on this perspective. Let's look at the positive aspects. Derek, can you please provide specific examples where persons with disabilities were portrayed in a positive and empowering light?
Thank you for that question. You have asked me to provide some positive examples of positive media representation of persons with disabilities. First of all, in positive media representation of persons with disabilities, we need to understand that this fosters understanding, acceptance, diversity, equality, and inclusion in all aspects of lives for persons with disabilities in the media. Now, one example that I can give is the TV shows. Persons with disabilities have been given opportunities to participate in these TV shows through interviews, through dance, drama, entertainment, name them. For example, the Paralympics, many programs that they have been participating in. To talk about another example, is the Science TV in Uganda. We have the Science TV in Uganda. It is predominantly for the deaf persons, and they are running the programs, passing on information, making it accessible to persons with disabilities, issues on mental health, and I was part of them. And I heard of Kenya having the same initiative. So the other example of positive media representation is the films. For example, I can mention about When You Become Me. It is a movie focusing on disability inclusion. And I was one of the actors in it, acting as Africa. It's not something to brag about, but it is an inspiration to many young persons with disabilities to get engaged and involved in media, to create awareness and encourage disability inclusion in the media space. And also to enhance inclusion in the film industry, to ensure that they include persons with disabilities. The other thing to talk about is the documentaries. Those have been talking about the disability rights, life experiences, what are the challenges, how different people with disabilities have overcome the different challenges in life. So documentaries are there. We can also talk about social media. We have seen persons with disabilities becoming social media influencers, using different platforms on the internet, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, to mention but a few. All of this advocating for persons with disabilities, talking about their lives, and creating awareness, many things. And lastly, but not least, is the awareness campaigns. That is very key. For example, now we are here in commemorating the IDD. So it is very, very, very key in creating awareness. We have other campaigns like the International Deaf Week. We have the days of physically impaired, the visually impaired, all of them. So with that, I think I can stop here and back to you, Madam Moderator.
That's a really great example, Dorek. It really shows how impactful representation can be if it's thoughtfully, if it's thoughtful and it's intentional. Does anyone else have an example they'd like to share?
Just to add to what Dorica said, I personally think we don't have enough documentaries about persons with disabilities. And before, okay, I understand that due to lots of negatives, due to lots of stereotypes and what has been ongoing, we don't have many people with disabilities represented. But now I think things like that are changing. Many people with disability we have more successful youths and persons with disability. And yet I don't think we have enough documentaries about them. And I do feel that those documentaries, do we think we need to do more of that? I think those documentaries are lacking and we need to see more of that. Another example that I want to add is the Paralympics. For those that don't know about Paralympics, it's a special sport for persons with disability specifically. And it's just like your Olympics, just for persons with disabilities. And another one that I remember is the deaf can dance too. There's something like that, and they dance. No, you should see it. They're amazing. Like, the first time I saw it, I was wowed. And one other thing I'd like to mention is Runway of Dreams. And I saw on their platform where they had a fashion runway for persons with disabilities. They had persons with Down syndrome, they had persons, wheelchair users, amputees, persons with albinism. They were strutting down the runway in style, excited, looking so happy, with a background music of I'm Unstoppable by Sia. And I know, I saw that and I felt so proud. And so imagine if I had a lot of that to refer to back in the days. mental health is very important, I understand, for everybody. But if it is maybe worse for persons without disabilities, it's twice or thrice as bad for persons with disabilities. So imagine if they had a lot of documentaries like that, a lot of representation like that to refer to, and not the negative one, maybe we wouldn't have so many persons with disabilities who are revolved into themselves. Okay, Derek.
Maybe allow me to add on that. Yeah, we have a few documentaries like you have said, but what inspiration do they bring about? That is key. Yes, we have few of them, but the ones that are in existence, at least, are trying to inspire persons with disabilities, show that they are successful in a different ways. For example, the South Media Hub, South Media Plus, it has been organizing different competition, modeling, fashion, MDD, and they have been giving awards to persons with disabilities that have been participating in it. We have seen deaf people featuring in them, singing in sign language, showcasing their abilities. Wow. So those are all positive representation in the media.
So I guess we have to now amplify them enough. Since I didn't know about this until now, so I think we need to amplify those documentaries that we have so we can encourage others to make more.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Powerful examples there. Those examples show us that there's potential. And it shows us that the potential of media and positive representation is possible when it is thoughtful and intentional. But as we've seen, we can see that it is positive representation doesn't just happen. It is an intentional effort. So that brings us to my next question. Let's talk about solutions. Emmanuel, what steps can be taken to encourage inclusive media portrayals? What roles do the filmmakers, do the mainstream media, the media outlets, the content creators, what roles do they have to play in making this happen?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, but maybe just has to contribute to the question we've had before. Is one thing that I do who struggle with this differentiating people without these abilities who are acting and people with real disabilities. I will give a example of a TV show or that was running in Kenya with the main actor lady with visual impairment, but in real life, she's not. So, yes, we try, but I do struggle with understanding if it is just acting or it is real thing. The end I question now. The steps I will take them in twofold. First one is targeting the stakeholders in the media space. Talk about journalists, producers. I think it's time that we had a roundtable a discussion with them to create with them and or design how they have to represent persons with disabilities in media space. During those discussions, we can bring up topics like yes, we know that media is business, yes, but how do you balance between making profits and creating impact to the society? Then we can discuss about ethical representation and storytelling. How do you talk and pray is about persons with disabilities in ways that will empower them rather than create more stigma. Then just to conclude on that, we understand that we do not just want to speak with stakeholders alone, but also persons with disabilities themselves. when you are called up to with his media and TV shows. How do you carry yourself? Which language do you use in the shows? Yes, so that we do not just shift the blame to the stakeholders alone, but knowing that we too we have a role to play. Maybe just to finish with an example. Recently, we've seen a rise in persons with disability is taking up comedy was in Kenya, but when you listen to with the jokes that they make, they tend to create more stigma than easy in awareness. When a child with a disability is watching them, he or she grows up knowing that we can't do is big because the art was joked about. Yeah, maybe I can stop there.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for those actionable points. We can see that creating inclusive portrayals isn't just an individual effort. It's a two-way thing. If we're educating the public or the industry, the filmmakers, people with disability, you need to set the standard for yourselves too. You need to show up how you want to be addressed. If we're talking about inclusion, you need to show up in a way that, this have to include this person, right? You need to show up with value. Nobody is going to give you a job just because you're a wheelchair user and you need money. You need to prove to them that you are way beyond the wheelchair. You are not your wheelchair. Your identity is not the wheelchair. You have something inside of you. So you have to show it. And to the filmmakers, the industry people, the content creators, be careful the content you put out there. Be careful the type of audience you are putting out content for, because we all have a role to play in this. Have a role to play in this. Allow persons with disabilities to tell their stories. Allow them to be out there. You want to create something for persons with disabilities. Don't assume that this is what should be there or the elements. Include someone with disability there, and you will see the difference. Um, okay, so that brings me to a broader question of cultural representation. How can we, this is an open question, by the way, how can we encourage inclusive cultural representation across various media platforms? No, it shouldn't be just a single project, a one-time thing. It should be a standard. So how can we encourage more inclusive cultural representation among all these media platforms?
Okay, thank you, moderator. Yeah, as we've said, it's a very, very broad question. But I would think, first of all, more trainings on disability awareness in the media. Because that will help the media get to know more about disability and how to work with people with disability into this media space. What are they capable of? So it is very, very important to have these trainings going on. Secondly, appointing or bringing on board persons with disabilities to get involved into these media spaces. Please, leaders here, and please appoint us. So are you people supporting me on this, or you don't want people to appoint us? So it is very, very important to appoint persons with disabilities in the media space. Because, to be honest, persons with disabilities are gifted with a lot of talents. But we are leaving them behind. You are leaving us behind. Give them the opportunity and you see what they are capable of. Don't look at their disability, look at the ability they are having. Then, the other one I can talk about is, including, to make inclusive media policies. It's very, very important. So those policies that will ensure that persons with disabilities are included in the media and are equally participating in these media spaces. Yeah, I think that is all from me, maybe to the other colleagues. To add.
Thank you, Dorek. Does anyone have anything else to add to what she just said?
Okay. To build on what she has said, Derek mentioned include us. So yes, there is nothing for us without us. There is no way you can tell stories of persons with disabilities without persons with disabilities. Representation always starts from behind the scenes, not necessarily on the screen. So, like she said, include persons with disabilities from the implementation stage. Another thing I want to note is, let's challenge these stereotypes. Let's break these barriers. Enough about portraying persons with disabilities as subjects to be pitied. Let them be the main character of their own story. Let them take lead roles in your movies. Stop making comedy laughing about them rather than laugh with them. So it's very important that you show persons with disabilities, portray them as regular people who can live full lives. Showing them in movies, portraying them as regular boss chicks who get up every day going to work to make money, to live a sustainable life for themselves, and also portraying them as people who are falling in love, getting married, that is if you want to, making decisions, like taking leadership roles, taking on leadership positions, and not just being seen as gatesman, being seen as a maid just because you have an impairment. We can live a full life, and we are just regular people like everyone else. So they should be given opportunity to, on equal basis, to participate in daily lives like everyone else. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, just to top to what has been said. Yes, we want to be in the media spaces, yes, but do we have the right skills to get there? One of the things that we have to deal with is the issue of systems. Talk about in our education systems. Persons with disability is at all that you can't do this. So yes, you want to assume media, but at the school tells you that because of your disability, it is not for you. So we and also to rethink and address that.
Another thing I wanted to add is, this is specifically for persons with disabilities themselves. Some of us tend to make ourselves into victims. You're not victims. If you project yourself as an object to be pitied, you will be seen as such. So, instead, I think you should put on your main character energy. We tend to limit ourselves sometimes. So let me share an instance. I was asked by a friend of mine to become the chief bridesmaid on our wedding, for our wedding ceremony. And I told her, chief bridesmaid, I don't want to get there and then people will start staring at me and then it will take away from the essence of your day. I did that. I could have just got there, show up like everyone else, not minding what happens or not thinking for everyone. So we tend to sometimes limit ourselves, and I just want to point out that we could have, maybe at some point, we may have also contributed to those stereotypes, and that needs to change, starting from now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the long and short is, include us. And persons with disability, be ready to be included and don't limit yourself. So there are specific organizations that have tackled these stereotypes and challenges. They've been able to, conquer them. And the one of which I'm aware of is the We Can Work program by the Light for the World, a partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. I think some of us here are products of the We Can Work program. And the We Can Work program shows persons with disability in a positive light that they can thrive in professional spaces. If you are not putting the systems to work against them, and you're giving them the right opportunities and privileges to thrive, and it's very, very interesting, very interesting. So I urge organizations to also pick up on this. Give persons with disabilities a chance. Don't make the system work against them. Give them opportunities to grow. Give them opportunities to learn. And persons with disabilities, go there, show up because you want to learn. Show up because you want to grow. Show up because you want to thrive. You can be whatever you want to be. the only person stopping you is you. So now it's time for a quick Q&A from our audience, both online and on-site. So before we come back to our wonderful panelists to just give us one sentence, some final thoughts. Do we have any questions? Okay, so there are no questions. So I just love my panelists to final thoughts. One sentence, please. Final thoughts. What you want, your recommendations and takeaways. What you want the audience to leave us with. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you so much. It has been an interesting panel. One thing that I want to encourage us and to encourage the media houses, include persons with disabilities in your programmings. And do not look at the person's disability rather. Do not look at the person's disability, but look at the ability. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dorek Olamide.
I'm just going to say that opportunity that you've been eyeing and you've been wondering if you should take it, if you can do this, if you should take advantage of it, go and do it now. It's time for you to start putting yourself forward. Persons with disability, this is for you. It's time to start putting yourself forward. It's time for you to put on your main character energy. It's time for you to become the main character of your own story. We can't tell it better than you would, and we can't portray it better than you would. So you want to be a scriptwriter, go do it. You want to be an actress like Dorek, go do it. You want to be an MC, go do it. You can do it. Anything else, just once take on that opportunity, challenge yourself, and you find there's so many things I didn't think was possible. There was a time in my life that I didn't think I would be where I am today. I didn't even think, I had so many doubts in the past, and somehow here I am. And then sometimes I think to myself, why was I even worried in the first place about what my future would look like? Like, I should have just enjoyed my 15s, 16s, and the likes. But yes, take on that opportunity today. Thank you.
Last but not least. Yeah, for me, I will talk to the stakeholders. I think it's time to rethink about our targeting. Who do we target with our content, and what do we want to achieve with that. There is a statement in the space that goes something like, if a dog bites a man, that is not news, but if a hand bites a dog, it's news. But thinking about the news part. Who do we target with that, and what do we want to achieve with sharing the story, the art? Also, when the stammer has beaten a dog. Yeah. What do we want to achieve with that? Let's rethink that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for those recommendations. For me, I would say while there's progress being made, there's still a lot of work to be done. Media is a very powerful tool for progress, and it will only be powerful if it is used right, if it is used intentionally, and if every single person plays their roles. And let's take the lessons we've learned from here and let's turn them into actionable steps. Thank you very much for interacting with our session today and for listening to us. Enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.